The latest news flash, coronavirus has stopped or stalled the sales of the S20.
Bringing the total death toll in South Korea to 28.
Just to give you some numbers, 70,000 units have been sold on the very first day in South Korea for the S20. Last year, for the S10, 140,000 units have been sold. So that is a 50% crash. Another one, Note 10, 220,000 units. That's amazing. That's like, can you really blame this on the coronavirus though?
6 now dead in Washington state. 4 of them elderly residents of this nursing home near Seattle.
They're actually huge numbers, and then we are looking at a definite 50% drop in unit sales, just pure unit sales, not monetary sales, unit sales.
So what is Samsung saying? There's a quote, right? What is Samsung saying towards that decline in sales?
Samsung is quoted by the Korea Herald as saying sales were affected by sharp declines in discounts for new phones and the number of visitors to offline stores due to a coronavirus infection fears.
Here's what Venice looks like now, not much more than a week after many were aware the coronavirus had arrived.
Wow. I don't know. I would not really put this all on the coronavirus, and I'll tell you why. Literally this morning, a report came out from Gartner. It says that smartphone sales fell in Q4 2019.
There are also a few other facts. I instantly saw it and thought, no way, there's no way that can be. Maybe a portion of, but not the whole amount. But when you actually dig into it and look into some of the other facts, such as last year Samsung gave huge discounts out. Shortly after the release.
2 weeks after the release of the S10, prices have been slashed already. So people may be just also waiting for that,
Maybe
right?
we're just smarter these days.
Absolutely. And I mean, it is a price issue. I want to put something into perspective with regards to the coronavirus, right? Just to give you numbers. Numbers is always good to have in front sometimes. In Germany, every day, 2,500 people die. 300 people die every day in Germany as passive smokers.
Wow.
So people who are bystanding somewhere when somebody smokes are affected, 300 people. In the high flu season, 55 people die every single day in Germany. So the coronavirus for sure is an uncharted territory. There's no doubt about that, 100%. I don't think you can really blame the coronavirus for the sales figure, right? 50% crash just doesn't add up, not to me.
People are under the impression, especially from the news, that if you start sneezing, you could be quarantined within a short space of time and for 2 weeks.
Right. So this is, I mean, yes. So if you rely on retail stores to sell your phones, for example, then if retail stores close, then you have an issue for sure. So there's another fact that came out in the Gartner report that says actually that Apple increased its market share and sold more iPhones in Q4 due to the fact that they basically reduced the prices after the launch of the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro.
So you're suggesting that the price of the S20 is part to blame?
Yes and no. It's relative because you have to bear in mind what is it you're getting for. If you have the S10, what is it you're getting for with the S20? I think people are fed up with pricing.
I think they're fed up with pricing. I also think they're fed up with every year a little bit of an upgrade being made. And also what happens a lot, especially with Apple, as you said about the prices being slashed, I feel that people don't really want to go for the flagship anymore because the phone that they have from the year before suddenly declines in price.
Yes. I want to get into some more figures though, because we want to unravel the whole thing with the coronavirus. And again, it is an uncharted territory and nobody really knows. And I think governments just basically want to kind of limit the spread, which makes sense because they certainly can't cope with millions of people being ill.
No.
People have even been worried about the health of Pope Francis, who had to pause to cough a couple of times during yesterday's prayers.
The most coronavirus infections are in one South Korean city called Jeju. I don't know if it sounds more French than South Korean, but 75% are there. So we Googled it and we checked out the town, right? The town itself is the poorest in terms of GDP per capita. So that means most of these people, and I apologize, probably wouldn't be able to buy that anyway. Schools are closed, churches are closed. And we thought we're going to look into this even more. So we looked into a professor who's on a university, and his article came out just a couple of days ago, and it says, no panic here. I am in South Korea watching the coronavirus spread. And he's basically saying that the Western media coverage of this has flirted with sensationalism.
Well,
right?
I think that
So take that.
absolutely. Let's have a look at that as far as Europe's concerned. Absolutely, in the UK, they go for it full blast. But in Germany, can you say the same?
Yes and no. I think they're kind of trying to kind of not panic and not do this and try to put it into perspective. A lot of people just don't know what the coronavirus brings with it, right? We had a lot of people who fell ill, nothing happened. Right, they've been tested positive, but they have no symptoms. They feel as fit as a fiddle. So there is a certain element of the unknown, right? Fear, that's for sure. But again, you can't really blame this on you can't blame the shortage of the sales, which is usually an indication of the rest of the world, right? So if I would be in Samsung shoes, I would be kind of thinking, oh shoot, what am I going to do now? Because this is 50% is huge, it's massive. Here's another factor from the Gartner report, Q4. And Xiaomi, one of the Chinese phone makers, they increased their sales. You know how? By expanding their online presence. So that, you have a multi-channel strategy as a vendor, as a phone maker, but they expanded their
in
online.
2020.
And due to coronavirus, they actually increased their sales. So there's another story, right? So it just doesn't add up. And sorry if we're kind of brutal with this, but we don't think it is the coronavirus.
And at the top of your list, what would be the number one reason?
I think that people are fed up with paying too much.